BodyBags, where horror lies.
Welcome back to BodyBags. This is week number 415. This is a theme week, and the theme is the year 1977. And today we're going to be talking about Death Game. Death Game is a 1977 film which runs approximately 88 minutes and is directed by Peter J. Traynor. He passed away on October 15th, 2019 at the age of 77. The only thing I could find on him is he actually directed Evil Town, which has its own little story, let me tell you. Evil Town is actually... he was brought in to make something of Evils of the Night. Therefore, you have Evil Town. It's a very weird, mixed up story. I did actually review Evil Town one time and got down all the facts. But anyway, this stars Sandra Locke as Jackson. She passed away on November 3rd, 2018 at the age of 74. She was in The Gauntlet, Every Which Way But Loose, and Any Which Way You Can. This also stars Colleen Camp as Donna. She was in Game of Death with the late Bruce Lee. Well, snippets of him anyway. Clue and Sliver. And Seymour Cassell as George Manning. He passed away on April 7th, 2019 at the age of 84. He was in Rushmore, Dick Tracy, and The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Now the budget on this film is $150,000, and this goes by so many different titles, it's crazy. It also goes by The Seducers, Weekend of Horror, and Mr. Manning's Weekend. Yeah. As well as Death Game. This is actually an extremely hard DVD to find. And it goes for, it's pretty pricey. Now I'm going to get to a little bit of that later. I'm going to go into a brief synopsis. Because everybody has probably seen this movie before if you have seen another film, which I'm going to bring out in a second. Okay, you have George Manning, who shares a house with his wife and his son. His son is staying with the grandparents, and the wife gets a call that his appendix has bursted. So she leaves to go tend to the son. The husband actually has a business meeting, therefore he is staying home for the weekend. So the first night when he's home, he hears a knock at his door. It's raining really hard outside, and he hears a knock at his door. When he opens up the door are two very attractive women, played by Sandra Locke and Colleen Camp, and he takes them in with the best intentions. He gets them some towels, puts their clothes in the dryer, or whatever he does with their clothes. He's very nice to them. He's very in love with his wife. He loves his family. And they end up having a threesome. They kind of force a threesome on him. And I know a lot of people will say forcing a threesome. Well, they kind of grab him and strip him down, and they end up having a threesome. Well, when he wakes up with regrets the next day, they are not too happy. So they torture him, destroy his house, and, you know, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. There's more to it. Not much more, but there's more to it. Like I said, I think a lot of people have seen this movie, and if it does sound familiar, it's because it was remade by Eli Roth called Knock Knock. Now, I'm going to tell you some stuff about the movie that's pretty interesting, because I found it to be pretty interesting. First of all, like I said, this DVD is really hard to find. It's pretty pricey. And when I looked on it, it says Cinema Pops. Well, apparently that company is no longer in business, and they got bought out by VCI. Now, I'm sure most people have heard of VCI. They put out, let's see, some of the good stuff they put out was Forever Evil, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Trying to think of some more of them. but I'm sure you guys get the picture. They also put out a Terror 10 Killer, The Last Slumber Party. All of these are pretty much out of print by now, but they put out a lot of really cool stuff back in the day. They still have a company. They're not quite as popular as some of the boutique labels. But anyway, now Knock Knock was produced by Sandra Locke before her death and Colleen Camp. And actually, Colleen Camp has a small part in Knock Knock. And the reason why this happened was, I found it to be quite interesting. They had made a decision on how this movie should go. This movie, Death Game, was originally supposed to be a lot darker and a lot gorier, a lot sexier. It was supposed to be a lot of things. Didn't end up happening that way because they ended up replacing the director. Now, the director and Sandra Locke got in an altercation. The director and Seymour Cassell got in a altercation as well because this wasn't how they envisioned the film. That's why Sandra Locke and Colleen Camp ended up producing Knock Knock for Eli Roth. Now, some other things. When I was watching the film, it didn't sound like Seymour Cassell, and if you ever do see Death Game, you'll recognize his character immediately because he's been in a ton of things. Well, I found out that he actually walked off the set before post-production, and all of his lines had to be dubbed over. So I thought that that was pretty interesting as well. Sandra Locke actually looks back and hates this film, or she did before she passed away, but she actually hated this film, and I don't really understand why, because these films are very, very similar. This one doesn't really show much more than the original, to be honest, and that was different for that time. Now, Death Game was actually a 1974 film, but didn't get released. It got shelved until 1977. That's why it's a 1977 film, because that's what its release date. And another interesting fact about it, there is actually a third film, a film in between Knock Knock and Death Game, called Vicious and Nude. It's an unofficial remake made in 1980 by a Spanish director and Spanish cast. And I couldn't really find much information on it as far as like where to obtain a copy and watch it, or anything like that. But Death Game is really a good movie and really different for its time. If there is a way for you guys to watch it, definitely check it out. I've always liked Knock Knock. I know a lot of people have problems with this film. They seem to love to hate Eli Roth, and I don't really understand that because I think he's turned out some really good films. Hostel being one of them, Cabin Fever. He's made some missteps by bringing out the remake to Cabin Fever, which was pretty much a shot-for-shot remake, but every director makes mistakes as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, check out Death Game. It is a really, really good film. It surprised me for its brutality and the sexuality in it, in its time period. And check out Knock Knock. It's a fun movie. Very fun. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, peace.